Hello everybody, my name is Kyle, and welcome to the... which day is it today? I think it's day 8. Yeah, it's day 8. And just like before, we're doing a walk cycle of Daffy Duck. Now, before I do it real quick, I want to just show... I did this for... I wanted to show this at a slower frame rate, just anyone who wanted to see it at a slower frame rate. Might be curious. Right, there we go. I have realized that I've just done this at 1:48. So, you're probably looking at it going like, what is this? Well, this is the Daffy Duck walk cycle I've been working on. And I've had calls all day, so I haven't actually been able to just record. So, doing it now. So, I came up with this walk cycle where he's kind of pumping up he's got like his fist clenched. It's based off of a picture that I've seen before. I don't overly remember how he moves his feet with this, so I'm just taking the one image from my mind and going from there. So you'll notice that I've used... Ooh, oh my god. You'll notice I've used blue for areas like the eyebrows and the beak, as well as the feet and arms, things like that. And it's because when I was planning it out, I tried doing it all in black, but you very quickly lose what the hell the character was even going to look like. So... So I did it in blue just so I could have more detail. I didn't really need to do the beak in blue considering it was that, but it made the mouth region a lot easier to figure out. Actually, want to... Oh, what the hell happened? So I like OpenToonz. It's a lovely free software, but I do have to admit it has some weird bugs some of the time. And there's like, okay, it does seem my undo seems to be just wiping out this entire section. I don't know why. It just does that. So we just gotta remember that we can't undo for now. Alright, so a little impromptu challenge, I guess. Right, so I wanted to dip in the eyes again, because we have that area where the nostrils go, which I don't overly know if ducks have nostrils, but Daffy does, and that's all we need to. So I'm actually gonna do this one frame and then I'm gonna close OpenToonz and launch it back up. Because as much as I could probably do this without undo and just record and just use the eraser. I lost a lot of time this morning just constantly doing phone calls and things like that, so I don't overly have a lot of time. So I think I got flashed and well, you know what? Let's try without. We'll try with the eraser because I'm not doing the cleanup version of this today. What you see here will be the final kind of way it looks. For better or for worse. Hopefully for better. But probably for worse. So, the thing about a lot of Looney Tunes characters is they have a very... There's not much parallel in them. There's a lot of conflicting lines. So take this for example with the neck. You've got this these two curves here intersecting. Well, instead of you do it like that, that looks bad. Or was about to undo. So yeah, that's the dealio with that. And it's very much with the same the arms. Now we learn how to do the arms kind of day one with this overshooting tube collision. The thing is, I'm left-handed, so my wrist naturally rests on where the undo button is. So this challenge is proving to be quite a pain in the ass. There's many different ways I could do this. I could do it so his chest kind of raises like that, which I don't mind. Definitely something to consider. I do quite like it because it removes a lot of this arch in the back, which just kind of leaves the seat of his pants here. Although his butt and their feathers. And then you've got to have his leg appearing here, because on the first cycle it'll be the step. This is the front leg. On the second step, this will be the back leg. So what can I say about the Looney Tunes that hasn't been said? Or specifically that Daffy Duck has not been said. This sort of thing. Not a lot, to be honest. They're very iconic characters. I believe... I'll just say things that I think are wrong, but if you want to know more about him, look him up. I believe Chuck Jones, who was the kind of father of Looney Tunes designs, him and Tex Avery were originally Disney animators, from my memory serves. And then I think they left amicably, like they wanted more out of the industry, but a lot of Disney animators was just... They were kind of set in stone because things worked for them and they were trying to go a different way. So that's why they left, I believe. I'm not overly sure on that, but I believe it's because they wanted to do more quicker kind of gag work that would appeal to broader audiences, whilst Disney wanted to do more cinematography, some cinematographic kind of work that was more universally amazing, I guess would be the word to say. So I think they left on good terms of just being like, well, you know, we can't offer that here, but we wish you the best. Which is nice. It's nice to know that a lot of the higher ups in the animation industry at that time, or like the people we now look at and go, wow, they were incredible and things like that, they got along. And it makes sense, to be honest, because if you've never met anybody who's interested in the same topic as you are... By the way, we're going to make his arms not move at all in this. Maybe like pump slightly, but that's about it. Yeah, but if you've ever met anybody who's like in the same intrigue as you, you'll find that you genuinely, like, you get along. For the sheer reason of for the sheer reason that you both want the same thing. So yeah, I mean, the animation was their lives, so makes sense. I think the previous generation, like the pre-war generation, well, the war generation, I guess would probably be the best one. They were definitely probably one of the most interesting generations of the human race. Because they came out of a situation where they were like, well, nothing can be worse than this, and genuinely, nothing has been since. But the fear of like going from peace to hostile war has never been bigger. So they must have been a very interesting generation. A lot of them had PTSD and things like that. So it might look like I'm tracing this frame, and that's because it is. This frame is going to be pretty much the exact same with the leg swaps. And even then, that's a very minor change in what it would really be. I actually want to talk about Space Jam a bit more. In that the animation of Space Jam was amazing, but the story was not great. And I believe Chuck Jones did a bit of research into it, but not a lot. He didn't like it that much because he kind of felt the characters were misrepresented. Which I think is probably pretty accurate, to be fair. Characters like Bugs and Daffy and things like that, they kind of became caricatures of themselves. Same with Looney Tunes Back in Action. They became very like sort of zany. I don't know how that's the best way of putting it. So the original Daffy Duck in the 1930s was like this crazy, weird creation. It wasn't the one we know today. And that's fine. It's a different take on him. And it was the original thing, but you could see that he didn't stick as much as the one we know. Because he was just more annoying, and I felt like it kind of kind of went back more to that style. And they didn't really capture him as well. But in fairness, it was a lot of the characters didn't actually get that much screen time. Daffy and Bug, sure, they got a lot, but like Foghorn Leghorn or Wile E. Coyote, things like that, they kind of had to be caricatured versions of themselves because that's all that was really present in the film. That might be a bit too high of a head. Yeah. It's a bit weird with no undo tool. It's a very common thing. When you have problems with this with OpenTunes, just sometimes the best thing to do is just either restart the computer or just open it back up. And most of the time it'll fix the problem. The thing is, I can't complain much about OpenTunes because, well, it's free. Yeah, how can you really complain about a program that's completely free? Yeah, it gives me everything I need. It's like Blender. It's like you can't really complain about anything in Blender because you really have nothing. That doesn't mean you don't complain about things. You know, if people didn't complain about things, there'd be no fixes. But don't be like, well, I'm not getting it because it has that undo bug. So still get it. That's not changing. Well, it is. It's gonna change. It's just not make or break it. So I looked up how to, because I believe 2 episodes ago, or 1 episode ago, I was talking about exporting as an AVI and then fixing it and re-exporting as an MOV. But I didn't know any programs at the time that were MOV or MP4 compatible. There are browsers online, browser apps online that allow you to just convert from AVI to MOV. So use them. I'm a big advocate for free things because, especially free software and things like that, because it incentivizes bigger companies like Adobe to really get their shit together, and B, it enables people to use to do things like animation. Like I believe Adobe Flash CS3 or CS4 was the biggest like downloaded one because there were a lot of free downloads online. And the amount of like YouTube animations and just animations in general that came out of that are phenomenal. So, yeah. Plus, it's not like it hurts a lot of their stock. Or like Adobe stock. It probably does actually hurt a lot of their stock, let's be honest. But if people were gonna, I don't know, illegally download it or something like that, they were gonna do it anyway. And if they weren't gonna, if they're like, oh, I can't get a free copy of CS3, I'll just not animate. It's like, no, they're probably just gonna find a different alternative. And there's plenty out there. Whilst if they want to go professional, they'll probably get the bigger package. So that's where the majority of their money is. And that's not normally because of integration with other users. So if you have a whole studio of people, if they're all working on the exact same program, it makes it a lot better because it can adapt. So it's not like you lose out. So I'm constantly going back and forth between the forward and the backward steps. Because with a warp cycle, it will oftentimes you are just mirroring the steps with the leg moving. Sometimes you'll have a different one if the character's got like a peg leg or something like that. You have to make one step back a certain way, one step back that, and it does make some interesting things. But most of the time they will just be mirrors. So I think it's best to do the keyframes of these things and then work from there, because I think you'll get the best results. So I'm going to put all this on 2s, because I put it slower by accident when I was planning it out, and then didn't realise I set it on 12 FPS. But the good thing is I animated it all on 1s. You can do any animation on 1s and set it on 2s, and it'll look pretty good. But you can't do it the other way around. You can't put... If an animation doesn't work on 2s, it's not going to work on 1s. I've thought about this before with animation, and I don't know if it's just sort of a thought. It's not really an actual idea. But I was thinking about changing FPS for things, because it's sort of set in stone that if you do hand-drawn animation, 24 FPS is the standard, and then everything else is like that. But like that's logic that's come from like the old Disney sort of era. Like it's logic that's come from like 80 years or something like that. And two things. One, I feel like audience retention is a lot less. Like I feel like the older audiences of the past, you had longer to grip them. Whereas nowadays, I feel like you barely even get a second to grip somebody. So I think having a faster FPS will make things look nicer and just draw people's eyes. But also, I think since we live in such a digital age with just everything, games, film, everything, I think people's eyes are actually more adapted to certain FPSs. There is a program, I don't remember what it's called, but it uses AI to convert. You can convert like a 24 FPS animation to a 60 FPS animation, and it generally works better when things are on 1s because it's dragging out the same amount of distance, but over a. It just works better when it's on 1s. I don't know why. Things like hair and things like that, it looks really good on. And I've seen it; it looks pretty good. I've never actually tried it, but it does seem to be pretty good. Another interesting program is Absinthe. We'll give that a go. I've never tried it, but I am dead curious about it. Let's save really quick. And take a sip of water, because it's hot. So, we're on day 3 of 5 of week 2. So, 60% of the... we're halfway through this, so I'd say 50% of the way done through week 2. His head definitely grows, doesn't it? We can work with that. So he's having a majority of staying in this pose. Yeah. So if you want a little tip about using OpenTunes, which I recommend, if you press comma or full stop, it will flip comma will flip to the previous frame, and full stop will flip to the next frame. If you press the forward slash or backslash, whatever it is, next to it, it's got a question mark above it. Next to it, if you're there, that will toggle on and off the onion skinning, which is pretty good if you are struggling with details. Or it's just you've got a very complex model and you need to see the skeleton a bit more underneath. Recommend that. I don't overly know if there's a manual for OpenToonz that much. I've learned a lot of stuff either through YouTube videos or watching guides, or not originals, or trial and error. I was gonna say I wish there was a guide. And if I did watch a guide, it was mostly on like one singular thing that I was very specifically looking up. So one of them is the FX schematics. I was trying to figure out how to do track mats in OpenToonz, which you can do. If you don't know what track mat is, it's a very big thing in After Effects. What it is if you draw a circle or something like that, if you've got, I don't know, another circle here, you can track mat circle 2 to circle 1. I'll draw it. If you have two circles here, and this is the base one, you can track mat this circle to that. That means any color in anything that intercepts, it keeps that. Or the other way around. You can imagine that's quite useful, especially if you want to like do colors in OpenToonz, but also like you can add lighting to things. You can add a lot of effects to it. There are a lot of effects in OpenToonz. I haven't really experimented with them because I don't really know when they'd be applicable. So a lot of light effects and things like that, which if you're you're making like a lighting scene, something like that, I can see it being more useful there, but at the same time I don't actually know when I would use it personally. But I've seen some people use them, so surely they must get some use. If I had to recommend animators on YouTube to watch, I don't think there's a lot of great guide animators to watch on YouTube, like how to do this, how to do that. Which is weird, because there's plenty of books and courses and things like how to animate this, which might be where they're trying to do it. But I primarily think it's because that's their living. There's a lot more for motion graphics, I can say that much. But in terms of like hand-drawn animation, I think because a lot of the people who do hand-drawn animation do very specific animations, like there's not a lot of things that are really, like the skills are translatable, like you'll find plenty of videos on the 12 principles of animation. But you won't find many like skills of like, I don't know, water effects and things like that. Primarily because the people who do those skills like they're very complex in how they think about them, and it's not exactly something that they consciously think about. So it's not something they can explain, and if they can explain it, they explain more of the theory of it, which doesn't translate that well. Like with most things though, the best way to get better at it is to just do it. Animation's a bit of a kick in the pants, like, because well, the best way to do it is to get better at it. The best way to get better at it is to do it, and to do it is do it for 4 hours. So it's, oof. Daffy's head, I think, first. Just because it's the one with the broadest movement. I know you're probably thinking, like, well, that's broad. I know that's very minimal at this point, but it's true. So because I'm kind of rushing day to day, I don't have the time to go back and add little nice details. Which I do feel is a bit of a sadness that comes with the challenge, but I think it also kind of helps. It also helps me because I'm doing them so frequently and I watch them back quite a bit and I get to talk about them as I'm doing them. My mind, I come up with areas to improve and things I can do, which I can't really say I do that often, or I can do that often. Because a lot of the times I'll do like a 700 frame animation or something like that. And then my mind will go like, I'm just exhausted, I don't want to do anything. So you start to accept your little failures and things like that. Whilst when it's an hour or something like that, well, 3 hours. At the end of it, I'm like, you know what, I could go back and clean that, I could go back and do it. I'm looking for the sort of areas that I can improve my animation skill set just as a whole. So I'll probably spoil it now, but I've already picked my next week character. I think I might have mentioned in a previous one that I've got this week and next week. Yeah, so obviously I've got this week picked out, so I'm doing it. But next week, I've also got that one picked out. And I'll be honest, they're a bit of a hard one. It's a more like Japanese anime style. It comes from a game that I played as a small child. So I'm very intrigued to know how well that's going to go. Personally, I don't think that well. Just because... Well, it isn't the easiest style to do. Oh no, it's not. I don't know if it'll go well. Just because Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, I've had a lot of reference with it, so if I'm ever struggling, I can fall back on the reference and go like, that's how you do it, and things like that. Which I feel is a bit bad because I'm using it more as a crutch than adapting my own skills as much. That's why, to be honest, that's probably the benefit of the one that's coming up. But at the same time, it does alleviate a lot of like, what if I mess up sort of thing. Or like, how does this look? I don't have to think as much, I can just do. Whilst like, the character I've chosen, I have 2 images as reference. It's really nothing. So it should be interesting. But I've done better with worse, with less. A bit of a brag there, you know. Yeah, I've done better with I've done animations with just an image. But I've never gone that far. I've been able to get one animation out of an image. Just one still image I found. But never a reaction or a walk cycle, actually getting the character's mind. So that part of it really excites me. Right, well, we're at frame... How many frames have we done? Because it's 40 minutes now. And, and 4 frames out of 24. But these are a lot of the harder ones, to be honest. Right, I'm going to stop this part here, and then I'll carry on in the next part, and I'll probably do a bit of a time lapse in the next one. So I'll see you then.